Sarah. I have a very interesting job. So my technical job title is I'm a legal assistant. I'm at a law firm. But have you guys ever seen the lawyer on TikTok that wears all the rings? You know what I'm talking about? That's my boss. I'm the social media manager for him. I'm also planning on going to law school. I'm taking my master's right now. I'll graduate next December, and then I'll be heading to law school. So what is my education background? I got my bachelor's in communications. I'm getting my master's in communications, and then to go into law school, you have to take the LSAT, which is a law school admissions test. Law school is 3 to 4 years, depending on where you go, and then you have to, it usually takes about a year to get your bar exam. Take the bar exam, it's like 6 months to get your results. If you pass that, you can then practice law. So does your job require higher education? Yes. Do you use the degree that you earned? My bachelor's degree I don't really use, so to get into law school you just have to have a bachelor's degree. It doesn't matter in what field. Most people do political studies or political science. Actually the highest bar pass rate for a major is political science or economics, so either one of those is really good. And I think economics, because it just kind of teaches you to think the way that law school does in a way. But I don't really use my communications degree. To be a legal assistant, you don't really have to have any higher education. You can get like a paralegal certificate or something like that, but it's not necessary. You don't necessarily have to have a degree to be a social media manager either. A lot of the social media managers that I know are just kind of off the cuff, you know, picked it up one day. How much writing does your job require? Lots and lots and lots of writing. Lots of research. If I'm not scrolling on TikTok, I'm researching or I'm writing. Sometimes 12-page briefs, which is ironic because that's not very brief. You know, pleadings, final decrees. I work at a general practice firm, so we take all kinds of cases, whether it's criminal, family law, car wrecks, bankruptcy, you name it, we probably have seen it in the firm. So how much reading is required in your job and to what capacity? Lots and lots of reading. I have to read case law because the law is always changing. You have to stay up to date on that. And another part of the education to be a lawyer is you have to keep a CLE, which stands for Continuing Legal Education. And to keep your law license up to date, you have to have a certain amount of CLE hours per year. And that's through seminars or webinars, however you want to do it. Describe your typical day. So I get to work at 7 o'clock in the morning. I meet with clients. I'll catch up on my emails, do that sort of thing. I do get to shadow my boss in court, so that's fun. So if we have court that morning, usually the court docket starts at 9. Sometimes it'll go to about 10 or 11. And then between 11 and 12, I take lunch, and then I'll come back. And then usually in the afternoon is when I work on social media. So what I do is I'll scroll on TikTok, find a trend, and be like, hey, Kev, let's do this. And then so we'll do that. And that usually takes maybe an hour or two, and then I'm right back into typing and catching up on phone calls, taking payments, that sort of thing. So what communication skills are required, and do you work closely with others? Yes, communication is very, very important in this job because usually when people come to us, it's never for a good reason. They're super emotional, they've just been arrested, they're going through a divorce, they just lost somebody in a car wreck, they're going through a bankruptcy. Literally the most positive thing that anybody comes and sees us for is to get their will written, and that's also kind of depressing. So it's, you know, people are very irritable when they come see us, so being able to help them see the logical side of things. Like, I understand that you're going through this right now, but let's think very logically and like, how can we fix the situation? So it's very, very important. So what are my job hours? I work 7 to 4. For attorneys, you can work all night long. I mean, the caseload and the piles just keep going if you let it. And I would say my job is pretty flexible. I mean, if I took off this afternoon to come see you guys, so like my job is very good. If I ever want to take a day off, they're super awesome. The company I work for is great. For attorneys though, it's not so flexible because if you have a court date set and you want to go on vacation, well, you can't go on vacation because your court date's set. One of the funny stories that my boss told me is that he had a trial set. The judge set the date on his wife's due date when she was pregnant. And he said, Your Honor, my wife is due date that day. And he goes, well, you're not going to be in labor, so you need to be here. So they can be very strict about that. So, not all judges are that mean, but some of them can be kind of irrational or harsh. So what is the most challenging part of your day? Definitely dealing with clients. They, again, can be very irrational, very emotional, very all sorts of things. And another hard thing is also dealing with other attorneys. It's very cutthroat, the legal industry is. And it doesn't have to be all the time, but some attorneys are just mean and, you're fighting all the time. That's what you do, is you're paid to fight and you want to do your job well. And people are also on the other side being paid to fight against you. So what is the most rewarding part of your job? I would say just being able to help people, because again, we see people at some of the lowest points of their life, and then you help them get through that, and they get to come out on the other side. And sometimes it's not the result that they want, and that's another tough thing, because you can go into court knowing that you have a great argument, and the judge or the jury just doesn't buy it. Or on the flip side, you can go into it thinking that, I don't have a winning case, but, they need somebody to help them, and then you end up winning. So you never really know. It's very unpredictable. And in the social media aspect, what is the most rewarding part? It's just fun. TikTok is probably the most fun part of my job. I love it. And it's so crazy because we went to a seminar in Miami in last January of 2023. And they were talking about the importance of social media for advertising for your law firm. And I was like a light bulb just went off in my head. And I was like, Kevin has the perfect personality for TikTok. Like, he needs to be on TikTok. So that February, we came back and we started a TikTok. And I think it was like our 4th or 5th video got over 1 million views. And it was like, ever since then, it's just been so fun because like we'll go out in public and like people recognize him and it's just really fun. Yeah.
Wait, is that the dude with all the rings?
Yes. Yeah.
I have seen him.
Yeah. Do you guys have any questions?
What was your full name again?
Sarah Sumter.
Sumter?
Yes. SPTER. Mm-hmm.
How many days a week? How many days a week do you work?
I work 5 days a week.
You said you were a legal aid?
Legal assistant.
Legal assistant.
Yes.
What's the TikTok?
Kennedy Law Firm.
Kennedy Law Firm?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
If you don't mind saying, what's your salary or average salary for?
I get paid $18.50 an hour. And then I do get bonuses based on TikTok performance. So whatever the TikTok account makes that week, I get a percentage of that, just depending on what's in the account. I will say legal assistant, so there's paralegals and there's legal assistants. There are 2 very different jobs, depending on the firm that you go to. And paralegal can mean, front desk receptionist, or it can mean case manager. It varies from firm to firm. My role, well, I do go to court and I do those things. I'm more of a personal assistant, as well as I wear a lot of hats at the firm that I'm at. Wherever they throw at me is kind of what I have to take. So, any more questions?
How did you end up at that law firm? What led you there?
So I started college when I wanted to be a dentist. I took 1 semester of anatomy in college and I hated it. And I was getting ready to switch my major to general studies, and I saw that they were hiring for a receptionist. I got the job as a receptionist and I just kind of worked my way up, and I really fell in love with the law and that aspect of it. And so then I changed my major to communications and here I am now. Any more questions? Yes.
Does your communications degree help you with the TikTok side of it, and would you ever consider just doing the social media type role and not doing the law degree?
I would say the communications degree has helped in a sense, just figuring out how to better communicate even on an online platform, because it's very different than, coming and talking to you guys. But I don't think that I would enjoy just doing social media. I love doing it for my boss, but I think it's also made it easier because he has the personality for it, and so that's what makes it so fun too. I don't really think I would want to do it full time for anybody else.
What's the most exciting case you've been able to witness in court?
The most exciting case. I would say we had a soldier, a military man, who somebody was saying some really awful things about him that were not true, and he was facing 20 years in the penitentiary, and we were really worried about it, but he was a really great guy, and he got off scotch clear, and those are the types of things that, like, you know, I feel like as an attorney, there are times where you know, like something shady kind of went on, but when you're an attorney, you put your hand on the Constitution and you swear that you're going to represent somebody to the best ability, no matter the circumstances, because everybody has a right to a fair trial. But there's times when you kind of know, you know, like maybe I think something kind of fishy went on, but then there's also times where you know, like, this didn't happen, because you can kind of see through it. And it's really scary when, you know somebody really didn't do something, and then they're facing, because they're putting their life in your hands. So, yes.
What's the worst case you've ever seen?
The worst case I've ever seen? We had a drunk driver kill somebody on a motorcycle one time. That was pretty bad. And they actually just changed the law in Tennessee, where if you kill somebody in a car wreck, whether it was an accident or not, it's a mandatory 6 years in prison. So stay off your phones while you're driving. Yeah.
What skills
Yeah.
Today, did you see?
what skills do you think are most important in each of your roles, do you think?
I would say in the legal world, definitely research and communication, because you're constantly communicating with people, whether it's the judge, the jury, other attorneys, your clients, whoever it is, you're always communicating. And I would say on the social media aspect, just being consistent. Consistency is really a big secret to social media. I think that's what helped us is, you have to be very consistent with it. And we kind of describe it as social media as like a wave. Like once you get your first viral video, like take that and run with it, and so, and be consistent with what you do. Yes, did you have a question?
Is there any clients that you didn't want to take?
Yes, so at our firm, we don't have to take clients if we don't want to, and we can refuse to take a client. And a lot of times that happens when they have unrealistic expectations as to what they want the outcome to be. And sometimes we just can't meet that, and it's just not worth it, because you can have your law license taken away from you at any point, and all it takes is one person complaining about you and you've lost your career. So you do have to have wisdom as to what kind of clients you're taking. And there's also, it's sad, but there's also people who genuinely need help and they just don't have the funds because it's not cheap to go to court at all. So
where are you going to attend law school? Where are you hoping to attend?
I want to go to Belmont, and it's a 3-year program. So in Nashville we have Belmont, there's Vanderbilt, and then there's also the Nashville School of Law, which is a 4-year program, and it's designed for people who work full-time and then they can go to school at night. The Nashville School of Law is not ABA accredited, meaning you can only practice in Tennessee, but Belmont and Vanderbilt, you can practice in any state.
Are you hoping to pursue criminal law, or kind of like the firm you're in now, or are you thinking about being a district attorney?
I definitely like the defense side of things, but I actually think I want to work in more insurance defense, which is why I'm getting my master's, because you don't have to have a master's to get into law school. But insurance defense, like the best of the best, they take the top in the class. But I would actually say one misconception about law is that you have to be really smart. That's not true. There's a lot of lawyers I know that weren't academically smart, but they were strategically smart. That's, I think, part of the reason why I hated dentistry so much is because I wasn't academically smart enough to get into medicine. But it takes a different kind of smart to be in that law business. It takes a different type of thinking. Any more questions?